The myth of control. Ever realize that you spend 90% of your day stressing over things you can't change? I'm about to save you years of therapy in just a few minutes of audio. No fancy editing. If you like the truth, you know what to do with the like button. Here's the deal. The world owes you nothing and you're not in charge of anything. Let's understand why. You don't control a single fucking thing except yourself. Stop and think. Why do you wake up already anxious, checking notifications as if the fate of humanity depends on your feed? You know that chaos you call life? That mountain of problems. Toxic people who didn't say good morning. The traffic jam that happened exactly when you have a meeting. The bills sprouting in your drawer. Unexpected illnesses. Betrayals from people you trusted. Politics. The price of groceries that won't stop rising. Feels like the world conspired to fuck you over, right? But the truth is, the world doesn't even know you exist. None of this is under your control. Absolutely nothing. If your work server goes down, you don't control it. If your ex posts a photo with someone else, you don't control it. If the economy collapses, guess what? You don't control that either. And if this bothers you, congratulations. You're wasting time getting pissed at the weather because it rained on your day off. It's like trying to fight gravity. You can jump, you can scream, but you're still going to hit the ground. Epictetus, that genius bold guy from ancient Greece who became a slave and was still freer than most iPhone owners today, said something simple. Some things are up to us and some things are not. His life was the ultimate proof. The man was someone else's property. He was beaten, treated like a disposable object, yet he maintained a serenity that would make a monk look hysterical. Why? Because he understood that while his master could chain his leg, he couldn't chain his mind. Here's the point. You don't control what people think of you. You could be the nicest person on earth and someone will still think you're an asshole. You don't control if the world is going to be fair. Spoiler, it won't be. You don't control if it rains or if the bus breaks down right on your schedule. But what do you control? Your judgment, your choices, your emotional response, and your fucking attitude. It's simple on paper, but a nightmare to practice. Admitting this means admitting that most of your life so far has been a pathetic series of attempts to control the uncontrollable. Remember that time you tried to change someone? When you spent hours arguing on the internet thinking the other person would say, "Wow, you're right," or that 3-day mental breakdown because someone should have known how you felt. All of that is you trying to dominate what doesn't belong to you. It's banging your head against a concrete wall thinking if you hit it hard enough, it'll become a door. It won't. It just leaves you with a lump on your head and a hospital bill. Look at the classic scenario. You're in traffic and some idiot cuts you off on purpose. What's your first reaction? Your blood boils, you scream, you honk, you curse his 7th generation. You turn your car into a mental boxing ring. The result? He goes on with his life, blasting music, and you get home with a stomach ulcer, stressed at your spouse and wanting to kill someone. Now tell me honestly, did it help? Did the guy apologize? Did traffic move faster? No. It only changed your mood and your blood pressure. You handed the key to your happiness to a stranger who doesn't even know you exist. The problem is most people live as if everything is personal. If the Wi-Fi goes out, it feels like a divine insult. If the boss is in a bad mood, you think you're getting fired. But Epictetus figured out the game 2,000 years ago. The key is focusing on what you can change. And it's not the world, it's you. This is the art of living. Stop being the idiot trying to control the wind and start adjusting the sails. If something bothers you and you can change it now. If you can't change it, shut up, breathe deep and move on. Sounds cold? Maybe. But it's much warmer and smarter than spending your whole life burning energy on drama that leads nowhere. Suffering is a choice, not destiny. We need to talk about the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is a fact. Suffering is a script that you write, direct and star in. Since emotions are the result of your interpretation and not the facts themselves, you have the power to edit that script. Have you noticed that some people get dumped, cry what they need to cry, and 2 months later they're writing a book or becoming a poet? Meanwhile, others fall into an emotional coma for 3 years because the great love of their life, that lasted 6 months, left. Or someone loses a job and uses the shock to start a badass business, while another uses it as a lifelong excuse to become a couch zombie eating instant noodles and complaining about the system. The difference isn't the event. The firing was the same. The breakup was the same. The difference is the interpretation. This is where Epictetus delivers a double kick to your victimhood disguised as sensitivity. He said, "Man is not disturbed by events, but by the principles and notions which he forms concerning them." Translating from ancient Greek to plain English, the problem isn't what happens to you. It's what you tell yourself about what happened. If you lose your job and say, "I'm a failure, I'll never find anything again," you will suffer. If you say, "This sucks, but now I have time for that project," you will act. Reality is neutral. You are the one who paints it black or colorful. And don't come at me with that TikTok self-help talk. This is pure logic. It's the reality you insist on ignoring because it's more comfortable to blame the universe, your zodiac sign, the government, or your ex than to admit you're being dramatic. Imagine two friends on a plane that starts shaking because of heavy turbulence. One panics, starts praying, grips the armrest, and is certain they're going to die. The other keeps reading their book, understands that turbulence is basic physics, and trusts the pilot. The plane is the same, the shaking is the same. But one is in hell and the other is at peace. Where do you want to be when life gets shaky? You don't have control over what happens in the world. We've established that. But you have total control over what you decide to feel about it. Oh, but I can't help how I feel. Let me give you a reality check. You might not control the first hit of emotion, that sting of anger or sadness, but you control whether you feed that monster or let it starve to death. Felt angry? Normal. You're human, not a refrigerator. Now, are you going to feed that anger for days? Are you going to create revenge fanfics in your head, rehearsing what you'll say to humiliate the person? If you do, you're their slave. Are you going to let the anger pass like a storm that doesn't deserve your energy? If you do, you're your own master. Felt sad? Fine, sadness is part of it. But are you going to sink into it like it's a religious obligation? Are you going to put on sad music just to cry more and post deep quotes? Or are you going to understand that sadness is just a sign that something mattered, take the lesson and move forward? Suffering, my friend, is an infinite soap opera that you keep renewing for another season. Epictetus, being a slave, had every reason in the world to live a life of emotional misery. He could have spent his days complaining about the injustice of his birth. But the man was more fulfilled than any yoga influencer making a living in Bali. Why? Because he understood that the mind is the only territory where you are the absolute king. The world can be on fire outside, but if you have clarity in here, nobody can drag you down. Living with pain is inevitable. You will lose people. You will fail. You will grow old. But suffering is optional. Pain knocks on the door, but you decide if it gets to stay in the guest room. You decide if what happened is an endless tragedy or just a hard lesson. So next time something goes wrong, and trust me, it's going to go wrong again very soon, remember this. You have two options. You can cry, scream and ask why me, or you can do what a stoic would do. Look chaos in the eye, give a slight smirk and think, bring it on. This is just another chance to prove I'm more of a badass than I was yesterday. Victimhood is luxury self-sabotage. The time has come for the truth to be told without pity or lube. If you still think the world is against you, the problem isn't the world. It's you refusing to grow up. Victimhood is comfortable. It's cozy. It gets you attention, likes, stay strong comments, hugs, and that poor thing narrative that massages your bruised ego. But you know what else it does? It keeps you exactly where you are. Stagnant, frustrated, and blaming everything except the only person responsible for changing the situation. You. Epictetus wouldn't have the patience for this modern whining. The man was human property. He was beaten, he was humiliated, and yet he never cast himself as a victim. Why? Because he understood that complaining doesn't solve a fucking thing. It only offers temporary relief. It's like emotional masturbation. It gives you an instant hit of being right, but deep down, you're still empty, stuck in the same place, with dirty hands. Let's illustrate reality. Are you unemployed? Fine, it's a tough situation. But what are you doing? Are you sending out resumes, learning a new skill, or are you spending 6 hours a day posting rants on Instagram blaming the government, the economy, and your bad luck? Did they leave you? I'm sorry, it hurts. But are you going to use that as an excuse to become an emotional zombie who doesn't shower and only listens to heartbreak songs? Or are you going to understand what went wrong, own your part, and become someone so badass that your ex looks like a minor speed bump in your past? Is your life a mess? Okay, but what exactly did you do yesterday, the day before, and over the last month to try and change even 1 inch of it? Taking personal responsibility isn't about guilt or punishment. It's about accepting that you are the only constant factor in the equation of your life. Sure, shit happens. People betray you, bosses fire you, friends flake, Life kicks you in the teeth without warning. That's part of the game. Those are the rules of the match. An adult's question isn't why did this happen to me? It's what am I going to do with this now? The victim has one advantage. They're never wrong. After all, it's always someone else's fault, the system's fault, or fate's fault. But the disadvantage is brutal. They never evolve. As long as you're pointing your finger outward, you'll never have the courage to look inward and fix the leaks. Stop collecting injustices like they're trophies. Pain doesn't make you special. What you do with it does. Discipline. The difference between an adult and a child. Let's talk about discipline, because freedom without self-control is just gourmet self-destruction. Nowadays, everyone wants to be free. Free to eat whatever, spend what they don't have, sleep in, and say whatever comes to mind. But you know what people call freedom? It's usually just a lack of shame and a total absence of discipline. It's chaos with glitter, failure disguised as a lifestyle. In reality, it's just a spoiled brat with an active ID and a beard. Epictetus told it like it was. No man is free who is not master of himself. In other words, if you don't have self-control, you're a slave. A slave to gluttony, to laziness, to phone addiction, to the TikTok algorithm, to other people's approval, to your own inflated ego. You think you're independent because you live alone, but you're chained on the inside, a slave to your next impulse of immediate pleasure. Discipline isn't about being a rigid robot. It's about consistency. It's being the only adult in the room when everyone else is running around naked with a bottle of wine. It's doing what needs to be done, even when your head whispers, just not today, you deserve a break. Lie. If you didn't hit your goal, you don't deserve a break, you deserve work. It's waking up early because you promised yourself, not because the alarm went off. It's training when nobody is watching and nobody is there to congratulate you. It's studying when the world is pushing you toward infinite distraction. Having a compass, an axis, and I am in charge of me. And no, that doesn't make you less free. On the contrary, discipline is the only real freedom. When you master your impulses, you can choose with clarity. Those who live on impulse live in reactivity, and those who only react don't live at all. They just survive like laboratory animals. Look around. Most people live in a loop of self-sabotage. I'm tired, so I'll eat. I'm sad, so I'll spend. I'm bored, so I'll procrastinate. It's always an escape, never a confrontation. That's being an emotional puppet. If you want to be more than a little doll manipulated by desire and fear, learn to command yourself. Being disciplined is protecting yourself from your worst side. It's being the guardian of your own mind in a world where everyone wants to rent it for free. The world owes you nothing. Wake up to reality. There is no cosmic justice. The universe doesn't give a damn about you, your suffering, your effort, or your 2026 goal sheet. If you think being a good person is going to make the universe conspire in your favor, congratulations. You've just won the Deluded Sucker of the Year award. Epictetus lived in ancient Rome, where injustice was served for breakfast. He saw good people dying and bad people getting rich every single day. He never wasted a second complaining that life was unfair. Why? Because he understood that life is what it is, period. When you stop waiting for justice, a miracle happens. You start to act. While you sit around waiting for destiny to see how hard you worked and send you a medal, life is rolling right over you. You know who grabs opportunities? Those who understand that nothing is guaranteed, that nobody is coming to save them, and that merit without results is just intellectual masturbation. The truth is raw. You can be ethical and get stabbed in the back. You can work hard and be ignored. And that's okay. The world doesn't owe you applause, a pat on the back, or a Disney movie happy ending. You are on a battlefield. Doing the right thing doesn't guarantee you anything. The right thing is just the bare minimum you should be doing for yourself. The moment you internalize that the world doesn't owe you a fucking thing, you become free. You stop depending on validation from others. You stop victimizing yourself and start taking responsibility. What matters isn't what happens to you, but how you respond to it with the cards you have in your hand. Do you want to complain about a bad hand, or do you want to learn to bluff like a master? Accept it. The world doesn't owe you love, success, or happiness. This is great because it takes you out of the role of emotional beggar and puts you in the role of the protagonist.